You gotta scoot over there, bro. You gotta scoot over.
Where am I scooting?
Right here. Oh, I think we're already live. Oh,
We are.
hey everybody. We're coming to you live today. My hair's a little flat. Coming to you live today to talk about Rudy.
We are.
We are. We're talking about you, baby. I posted when Sean Connery passed away.
Mhm.
Your
Your hair's not flat.
It is flat, but we're talking about your job that you had with him. Do you want to share with everybody? Everybody was fascinated that you were his bodyguard.
Well, it's not like this. It was definitely one of my highlights of my career. It was really the coolest, one of the coolest jobs I had. Um, was a total fluke. They were looking for a bodyguard for him. He never had one before.
Huh?
Um, because he was filming a movie before I was with him on The Rock. If you guys ever seen that movie, The Rock, and he apparently had some problems in the previous movie, which was down in, I think they filmed it in Louisiana or Florida with Fishburne. So apparently
Oh,
they had some problems with him, people trying to get at him, and then Disney, which was the company who financed the movie, decided they needed security for him. Um, and I got a call just purely on my reputation. At the time, went down and interviewed with his personal, not servant, but his manservant,
attendant.
I guess you can call that. And I remember the call I got. The funny part was, Rudy, you need to go down there and you can't look that big. Yes, you can't. You can't look that big. Okay. So dressed all in black, it didn't help much.
Now the assistant is the guy that's in the rock that says you stole my Humvee.
Yes, the
Him.
assistant, he's
Right.
actually, if I remember correctly, Austrian, and he was in one of the scenes. You stole my Hummer,
Right.
um, and he was at that point with him for a long, long time, and we hit it off. Spoke German, and the next day, literally, I think an interview was on a Wednesday, and the next day I was ordered to meet him down at the docks because we started filming on Alcatraz Island.
Mhm.
Um, and every morning we would get on a boat and ship over to Alcatraz. And yeah, met him the first morning, and the man comes up to you, and then that voice comes out of his head, and you go, "Wow, that's
Now you need to
very, very
share
cool."
because when you bodyguard, you watched him 24/7. What
Um,
was the assignment
yeah,
besides the
yeah. I
movie?
mean, bodyguard, literally, executive protection bodyguard work means you are with the person the minute he steps out of his hotel. He was in a hotel up on Nob Hill, which was right around the corner from where I lived, which was cool. So we picked him up in the morning with his driver, went on set. And if you watch the movie, every time you see Connery, I'm literally 5 feet from him. I'm never more than 5 or 6 feet from him. Literally right where the camera, right at the camera, is where I am at. Bring him from the set, from the scenes to the trailer, back, and yeah, with him all the time. I mean, literally all the time. I got so close with him, I saw the man in a towel coming out of the shower.
That was your job.
That's how close. That's how close you are. Um,
But Sean is not the biggest, he was not the biggest high profile, right? I know you have higher profile clients besides
yes,
Sean.
yes. But I mean, Sean was literally the most fun one to be on the movie set. Um, Around him, around the whole movie experience, and of course, they feed you really well on a big movie like that.
We're
Anything,
going back to food again.
anything you want at any time. But yeah, no, it was really cool. Uh, just like in every bodyguard um, job that you have, there's a lot of sitting around, there's a lot of standing around. Um, but the thing that wears on you got to be alert all the time. I mean, you literally got to be on the job all the time. Got to make sure that every eventuality that you could possibly think of and plan for in your head, you are there and taken care of. Anybody who's ever been in that line of work or thought about that line of work or saw anybody that's doing that job, there's two things that are really important. The first one is, of course, you got to know what you're doing. So you got to be absolutely professional. You got to know what you're doing. And the second part is you got to get along with your subject. That's the thing. You got to.
People have questions,
Yes,
baby. It says, what year did you guard Sean? So it was during the filming of The Rock.
95.
95.
Yeah, it came out in 96. The Rock came out in 96, and we filmed in 95 in San Francisco.
And so if you don't know, Rudy, before his accident, before we met, was a high executive professional bodyguard, armed, to stars and famous people. I know a lot of the famous people that he was, and then you had NDAs with some of them too. So he had NDAs that he couldn't really say. But that was all the way up until we met. We met in January, and then Rudy had a life-altering accident in March, and he was not able to do bodyguarding anymore. So a lot of people ask, how do we work together? The only reason we worked together was because he wasn't able to go back to do bodyguarding. Now, remember, when he was doing the high executive bodyguard work, it's a 24-hour clock. It's not he's on all the time. So, Rudy's already a workaholic, so I think it really worked for his personality. But my husband is the most calmest person you'll ever meet. It takes a lot for him to get upset. I think I'm more of the emotional person. When things go, when an emergency happens or something, pops off or jumps off, Rudy's very calm. It's a very eerie calm that I still am not quite used to, because I'm used to the emotion. So when he doesn't really say anything, I'm kind of like, give me something so that I know that you're responding to it. But when I met him, we met online. So a lot of you, if you don't know, we met online. And Rudy stalkered me online for weeks, looking at my pictures, and I had some really nice pictures. And so I finally sent him a message and just said, why are you looking at me every day, but you've never said anything, blah, blah, blah. I said, make it happen, Captain. Ask me on a date. Do something. Just stop looking
What's
at my
the
pictures.
algorithm of the website that your picture came up all the time?
Please, you stared, the baby,
Algorithm.
please, you stared at my one picture
Algorithm.
all the time. Anyway, so when we met, he didn't tell me that he was a private bodyguard. So I didn't even know. I had no clue. He just said that he worked in the city, and I didn't really kind of take it past that. But it was Valentine's Day, and we went out and he took me out. And Rudy is not a traditional holiday celebrator. So if it's Valentine's Day or like Mother's Day or something like that, he's not really into that. But we went out for Valentine's Day, had a really nice dinner. And then I went to his apartment, and sitting on his table is this huge box of chocolates in a heart, velvet chocolate, like really nice chocolates. And then there's a card, and it's like, it says, for Rudy. And you already know me. Rudy went to the bathroom, and I zeroed in on the table and saw this heart box. Now, I ain't bought him no candy. So when we started dating, I told him, I had my other options. He made me get rid of all my other options. So I'm like, fine, if I can't date other people, you can't date other people either. And he's like, fine. So when we came in there, this like really, really got me like pissed off. And so He's in the back, and I go through and I open up the envelope. I'm like, oh no, 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 no. If you bold enough to have this candy from some other woman sitting on the table, then I'm gonna go ahead and read the card. Let me see who this is from. So I go and I open the card and I'm reading it, and it said whatever, hi Rudy, da 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 da, love. He goes out the bathroom and I had the card in my hand. I said, who the is this? His face. My boss. Why is your boss sending you a whole box of chocolates and this love card? Are you playing me? He's like, no, it's my boss. She gives me gifts. What are you doing for your boss? And I just went there. Rudy just kept looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And then that's when he finally told me what he did for his job. So up until then, I didn't know. I knew that he worked. I knew he was in security, but I did not know like how much he was in it. Then he kind of told me everything as far as who his employer was, who was a very high profile person. If we said the name, you would know who she is. And then the jobs that he's had, you did assisting Secret Service with Hillary Clinton, right? When she came to the city. So he's done Secret Service work. He's, high profile athletes, movie stars, all of that. So that's when I finally knew it all. But up until then, Rudy said nothing to me. I did not know that he was a bodyguard. I knew he was big and I knew he was in security, but it didn't gel for me. It was that one incident with that chocolate hearts from that boss of his. And you talk about somebody going 5150. Ooh, I was mad. I was so mad. I hit you off guard with that one, didn't I? I was like, oh, what is this? And I mean, my hair was all like, I was like, oh, you made me get rid of all these men. You did, he did. But anyway, so back to Rudy and his bodyguarding. So that was February that I found out that he does very high profile people that he would work for. And then 2 weeks later, he has the accident. And then everything changes from that point on. And I do get a lot of people that ask us, like, how do we actually work together? And it wasn't, we were not ever, I was never planning on working together with Rudy. I wasn't planning on getting married to Rudy. No, we weren't planning on getting married. I wasn't planning on continuing to date. So here we are, 5 years later. And we worked together.
Well, the funny part was you got to expand on that a little bit, because we literally had, we had a dinner or lunch.
We had dinner.
And she told me that she could not keep this going the way it is going, simply because of the hours I was keeping. Because on top of the bodyguard thing, I was doing club work.
3 jobs.
I was doing other security work. So I was averaging, 80, 90 hours a week.
Yep.
On the low end.
Yep.
So she tells me that, yeah, she could not be with a man that, does not have the
balance.
That does have the time. I mean, I would sometimes get off work at 2 a.m, go home, shower, and then, around 3:30 creep into
Mom and Dad are watching
Stephanie's house to say hello.
Oh, good Lord, baby.
To say hello. So, so there wasn't a whole lot of time. So we literally had that talk about she can't deal with that. And, for us to keep together, there would have to be a change.
Right. And I think that's the thing with, the change for him happened. And even then, when his accident happened and all of the rehab and everything that happened in between there, we still did not think about working together. That wasn't going to be an option. One, Rudy had it in his mind that he was going to go back to this level of work And for me, I always had the business. So it wasn't something that we said, well, why don't you come into the business? It was more like, okay, so why don't we rehab and then you go back if you can go back. And I think that was the thing why we decided to work together, because Rudy initially in his mind, I knew it was going to be longer, but he's like, I'm only going to be down 6 weeks. He posts all over his Facebook, I'm only going to be down for 6 weeks. And I'm like, no, I have a degree in kinesics. I've worked on bodies. I understand. I wanted to go into physical therapy and rehab, so I understand. And I told him, I said, this is going to be like a lot longer, like months. And he's like, it's not going to be months. My mind is going to get me there. No, it ain't. And you're more mature. You're older to have this type of injury. It's going to take a lot of rehab.
Also, I mean, I did research and try to figure out, what had been the path for other people who had these kind of injuries. The problem was that nobody had that injury, or very, very, very few people had that kind of injury on both legs. Normally, you have one leg that blows out, and then because of that, of course, the recuperation is much, much shorter.
Yeah.
But
he did both legs. So basically, Rudy was running. He was working during his accident. He was running down the stairs. A crackhead had broke into the house
at the end
of the shift.
No, well, at the end of like a 36-hour shift.
Yes, which one, Rudy should not have been running. He knows that, but he was chasing a crackhead and broke in to try to steal something. I don't understand how they were going to get out, but whatever. So Rudy and his crew, the alarms go off and Rudy goes running. He came downstairs, went to the crackhead, juked. Rudy went, and that's when that knee said, boop, and the patella tendon popped off, the kneecap lodged into the thigh.
And the other one too.
He fell on the other one, and that snapped that one and was instantly done.
Like a sack of potatoes.
Just done. So we had surgery. He had 25 staples in each knee. They put him in straight braces. He was not able to walk, drive, anything. So it was starting over in a new relationship. He lived on the second floor. I mean, every challenge that you can imagine, we were up against. And then I was still running the business. I was still doing everything. And then he was like, you don't have to be with me. You didn't sign up for this. I'm like, well, I'm here now. He was great, though. Very, very great. And I tell him this all the time. Never got upset with me. Never got frustrated with me. Allowed me. And I wouldn't say even allowed. He really let me take care of him. Because he really tried to do a lot on his own. Wouldn't use the walker. I mean, he crawled backwards on his hands to get himself up into the apartment. Took us 2.5 hours. They kept saying, call the fire department, and they can like, what do they call it?
Well, the thing is, I get out of the hospital, there's 3 attendants put me in the backseat of her car, 4. Get in the backseat of the car, and then this one goes, well, it took 4 of you to get him in. How am I going to get him out? They go.
And I'm like, I don't, what? I can't lift him. I can't drag him. I can't push him. So how am I supposed to get him out of the car, onto the sidewalk, up the stairs, through the door, to the bed?
Well, I did it. It took a little longer, but I did.
2 hours it took us to do that. So now imagine, we're still trying to figure everything out. Rudy was literally stuck to the bed. We went back to the doctors, and that was after 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks. So from the time he got into the bed to the time we went to the doctor was the first time. So even when he crawled to the bathroom, it was an hour ordeal. And everything is straight legs, so he couldn't bend his legs. So he's in straight braces, he's in bandage. I mean, every time I came in there, I had my lavender. I was unraveling him. I was wrapping up his stuff. I was putting new gauze on. I mean, like I said, he was not able to do anything. So my family was like, what is this? So meanwhile, I still have the business. I still have Celine. She's in school. She's in dance. I told my parents, I said, I'm just going to move him to my house so I can take
You
care
still
of
had
him.
conventions to travel
I
to.
still did shows, I still did trainings. And so my parents were like, you don't know this man. You can't bring him around, Celine. And I'm like, but he has nobody. They're going to put him in the rehab facility. And so they're like, well, at least rehab, there's a nurse. I was like, dang. So Rudy stayed, we rehabbed, we did everything, but instead of it doing the 6 weeks that he thought, it turned into 18 months. So a year and 6 months it took for him to get back to, um, I would say 90%.
Well, I don't think I'm at 90% at all, but
80%?
something like that.
Oh. So it took us to get back there. So we went from straight braces to bending braces, walkers to crutches,
Cane.
cane, and then cane.
Yeah. Well, the hard part, and then we can wrap that up because it's a little bit self-indulgent.
I know.
The hard part was because I had this injury where the doctor told us that in the last 20 years in the US and Germany combined, only, what was it, 67 people had ever had
This
this
type of
injury
injury.
in 20 years. The problem then was that nobody had any experience with it.
No.
Um, when we went for the surgery, the doctors were extremely excited.
Oh, they
Before they
were
put me under,
excited.
she was there. They were so excited because that was a challenge that they've never had. It was something that they've only known out of textbooks, known out of textbooks.
They were
Um,
excited.
my rehab, the problem was that there were absolutely no guidelines for this
No.
kind of a rehab process, and they didn't have any timelines. They couldn't. And then when the doctors and the rehab guys, very, very nice guys, but their thing is they got to bring you back to where you were before or close to where you were before. And when I started telling him what I used to do for a living and what kind of things I, have to be able to do for that, their guys get all big because they've never even heard of anything like that.
No.
So they have no, I'm like, yeah, we don't, we have no
And I
experience
think
with
the
it.
thing is for them, they didn't understand. Like I didn't understand until I watched Rudy get ready for work one time. Celine and I watched him get ready for work. The amount of armor that he put on, the amount of shields and boots, and he had this like neck thing that he would wear, neck protector, whatever. Then he has his what bulletproof vest that he puts on, and then he gears up to go into battle. So when we're trying to explain that to the rehab people and the physical therapists, we're like, he's wearing at least 30 pounds of protection on top of his,
Depending on the job.
depending on the job. So are you going to rehab him with that much weight on? And they were like, he does what? And it's not like police work because, and Rudy's explaining, this is not, I'm not police work, but I'm putting myself in harm's way every time I work. So I have to be ready for everything. So I have, my guns, I have my knives, and I have everything on me. And I'm looking at him in the doctor's office like, oh my God, does he wear all that stuff all the time? So when Celine and I would watch him get ready, we were like, and I mean, it's systematic. He has this, you see like those movies when you have people getting ready to go into a fight, like it's a military movie, you hear the clack, 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 and they're doing all this stuff. That's him. And we're like, what is that? Oh, this does this. Well, what is that? This does this. And he's just clack, 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 clack. And Celine and I are like, oh my gosh. So, in saying all of that, they were not able to rehab him to get back to that level of protection that he did. And when we were talking about moving here, he had gotten offered a position to do more management, but of a security company. And so that was what we moved with. And he actually moved here first and was working in that way before Celine and I came to Dallas. So we thought that that was going to be something that could ease him back in. He could still teach people on what he knows. He could oversee and all of that. And that kind of fell through. It wasn't what they said it was going to be. And then that company went out of business. So we're like, okay, why don't you just do the business? This is not, it's not going to be exciting. We have a little bit of drama, but it's nothing like the drama that you have. And that's really how we started working together. We never went into our relationship thinking we were going to be married and working together. Because like I said, I had made the decision I was not going to get married again. I had a very tumultuous marriage along with a very crazy divorce, and then crazy aftermath after that. So to bring another person into my drama, I really didn't want to do that. And I also was very comfortable being single. I was comfortable being a single mom. So I wasn't ready to make room for, I mean, I was ready to make room for Rudy, but I wasn't ready to make room for him at a husband level, if that makes sense. And Rudy kind of was like, right? Did you want to get married again?
It wasn't, we never really talked about it
But did you want to?
at some point.
Oh, well, why didn't you say anything?
At some point. Well, you gave me an ultimatum.
I did.
Mm.
I said, we should get married for tax purposes, and we got to get married by this time. So let's just go on down to the courthouse.
It was very romantic.
Very romantic. I mean, my
I had
proposal was romantic. I just got told to put a ring on. I didn't even get a proposal.
At that point, at that time, that was appropriate.
He's mad because we went on a cruise and I told him I'm a free agent. You've not asked me to be engaged. You don't give me a ring. So if somebody wants to buy me a drink or dance, I'm a free agent. Now we came here together and we'll leave together, but I am a free agent.
Yeah, we're not having any of that.
And then that's what I got told. No, here's a ring and you wear it. And then I'm like, I guess.
Anyway, so but when we figured out that we're gonna work together, gives me something to do.
You need something to do.
And kind of, when we figure we're gonna get married, we're gonna, do this life journey together. What's the best way to get the most out of our teamwork?
Yeah.
And then we really had a talk about how we're going to split up the responsibilities and what we're going to do to make this work, what I'm going to be able to bring to the table to make her life easier.
Now, we did have to train Rudy on the proper etiquette when we're talking to estheticians and women, because
that's why I don't do that.
In the beginning, Rudy struggled with understanding what we do. And then when clients come in and we're not here and Rudy takes over the store, he would call me and I'm like, I'm not there, love, but they want you. Okay, but just all you have to do, you've heard me talk over and over again, just repeat what I say. That's it. And then, Rudy's better now, but in the beginning, oh, he struggled. He struggled. And then Rudy, he's very commanding. And when he's in a room, he's very commanding. People try to figure out what's happening or what's going on. So when people walk in here, they don't expect to see him at all. So I'm like, baby, you got to be nice and show teeth and smile and welcome to Smooth Skin Supply. And how can I help you today?
Yeah, but I think the big part was but the big part was you got to remember that Stephanie up to that point was doing everything. And if you ever had your own business or involved in the business, you know that there's the very mundane daily stuff that just needs to be done every day, boring, repetitive, mundane. And then there's the other part of the entrepreneur, that's the ideas, that's the vision, that's the creative, the sparks fly. And you need time for that. You need time for that.
And I had to release that to him because I did not release that to him. I told him that, no, you don't answer phones. No, you don't call anybody. They don't know who you are. Your voice is so deep and sexy, they ain't gonna know who you calling from. This is Rudy calling from Smooth Skin. But no, don't talk to anybody. Okay? Okay.
Yeah, but I think what we figured out was that at that point, a lot of stuff that was actually holding the business back or was holding
Yeah.
Stephanie back was that she was bogged down in a lot of the daily mundane
Yeah.
stuff that she needed to be there for, that she needed to oversee
Yeah.
and take care of. So my part, um, as it has developed, is take a lot of that off her plate. Not everything, of course, but a lot of it off her plate. So she has the ability and she has the time, the freedom to be creative. And that's
Yeah.
the thing that's, propels the business forward and expands and gets you into the future. Because with a business like this, if you always, stay and tread water, you're never going to get anywhere.
And I think Rudy's done a really good job in transitioning. I've always said I never pictured working with my husband in my business. And I think for us, we had a little bit of transition because Rudy's like, I'm not your employee. And he would yell that all the time. I don't work for you. Really? You sure about that? Is there anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Hornbuck? I don't work for you. And it would be funny because I'm looking at him, and I mean, now we've gotten better when we need to have discussions where it's just him and I. But sometimes I'm like, no, you don't understand. And when I have visions or I'm thinking of something, and Rudy does not read minds, but I have an idea of what it needs to look like. And then I'll go back and say, okay, so why didn't you do it like this? And he'll be like, I don't know. Or the famous ones that I love is, why didn't you get to this? Because I didn't want to do it. There's no choice. What are you talking about? So you just didn't want to do it. Oh, okay. Okay. How is that going to work out for you?
Where are you going to sleep tonight?
Where are you going to be tonight? And so we had to get past that. But I do think that us working together, we really understand. And I think Rudy's starting to understand the pressures that we had of the business. And then he brings to us, and like we talked on our last slide, the whole money situation. His discipline with money is something we needed in the business. I needed to have someone who understands money in a completely different way than I do. And it needs to come from someone who's going to be able to change my mind. I think if I had an employee who was in charge of our money or an accountant in-house, I don't think it would be as effective as Rudy. Not saying that he does that. We have a CPA that does everything, and she's also a bookkeeper that does that. But as far as how to spend, how to become disciplined in what you spend, when you spend, it was really Rudy who really sat me down and just said, and he asked the questions that I think no one has really ever asked me was, why do you spend like this? Why do you buy this way? What do you mean? You're like, well, can you get it cheaper? Can you buy more? Like the questions that I never really understood. I never really took the time to think about because I've been in such a routine for so long of juggling so many things. And then when and I've let a lot of stuff go to Rudy. Like there's a lot of stuff that I've given to him. It's really allowed me to really kind of just relax in a way that I don't think I would have ever relaxed if we still would have been married and him having his own career outside of the business. I think, and we talk about it a lot, if Rudy didn't come into the business, there's again a shelf life for his type of work as well. Um, we don't know what it would look like. It definitely would be very different.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing with working with your spouse. I like the way that we didn't really prepare or know. It wasn't something that we were planning to do. I think it really happened organically, and it's organically morphed into something bigger. And we're both grateful for that because it definitely could have went the other way. I know that I've seen couples that have married and worked together and they divorce because the work stress is so bad. And I think that's one thing that we balance really well is we really don't take that much work home. I may mention, I like to tease him when we have certain orders that come in or I check something, but we really don't have um, a problem with overlap. Like, I don't, at least. You
Yeah,
don't.
I think another thing is very, very important though, is that do not have a codependency.
No.
I do not have to be on and next to her, glued to her side 24/7.
No.
Neither does she.
Well,
Which then,
I'm a free agent. I love to,
yeah,
yeah.
which then allows each other though to give us some space though. And I
Yeah.
think that's a lot, so you get your hours alone or get your hours where you can do whatever it is you're doing. I don't need to sit next to you and watch the same program you're doing or
Right.
hang out with you and hate myself for it because I'd
Right.
rather do something else.
Right.
So you're giving each other space,
I think we allow each other space,
and I
and
think that's important.
it is important. I'm not looking to him to make me happy or entertain me or anything like that.
Entertain. I mean, the thing is we can be in the same house. That's the thing. You want to be in the same house because you have a certain feeling of security and comfort when the other one is
Close.
close,
Right.
but you don't have to sit on top of each other every
Right.
time. And I think that's the important part, that you give the other person the space. And it doesn't mean that, oh my God, why doesn't he want to sit next to me at
Right.
all?
Right. And I think that's the thing, that we're both older. I think had we met when we were younger, it may have been an issue. And I think a lot of that has to do with insecurity. And I'm extremely secure in myself, and Rudy's very secure in himself. Um, and I think the work aspect just adds another aspect or another layer that you have to really be secure in your relationship. There's been many times that salespeople have come into the business not realizing that we're married. And so they'll try to flirt with me. And or we are in a building, and so there's been men that have been in the parking lot that don't realize that we're married. So if I walk to the car, or they'll stare at me or try to talk to me, and I'll call my husband on the phone and be like, I need you to come out and kiss me real quick. I mean, it's funny when when people come in, because their assumption is that, I'm the boss. Rudy always says, let me get the boss. Let me get the boss. And so when I come in and I'm like, hello, blah, 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 they're taken back when I'd be like, okay, love, so we're gonna go ahead and do this. And then they're like, oh. And we have different last names. So you really would not assume that we were married. But the dynamic, even how we work here, if you didn't know us, you probably wouldn't really think that we were married. Which is okay. I don't like need to be all over him at work either. It's just interesting. It's interesting because there's a lot of people that come into our business that either want to do business with us, or they, someone's wanting something, trying to sell us something. They don't realize I make, majority of the decisions I'm going to make. So when Rudy refers to me, they're like, well, who are you? And then I have to sometimes be like, what do you want? Or I let this one, and he loves it. One thing that drives me crazy with Rudy is that he knows, for the most part, what I'm willing to sit down and listen to and what I'm not. But he'll make stupid appointments for me with these fools because he knows I'm going to just rip them apart, especially if you're not ready. If you set up a meeting for me and then you come in and you're not ready, I'm gonna get you because you're wasting my time. But this one will set them and then not show up. And then look at him, he's sniggling because he loves it. And it drives me crazy. Why did you set up an appointment with him when you knew, number one, I was not going to say yes, and you knew he was going to be flubbing all over himself? What's that little fool that came in here and you just giggled and giggled? I lit that little fool up. Don't come back in here with all this foolishness. And I'm like, what was it about shipping? Oh, and you better know your numbers if you're coming in here with me with shipping. He was just, oh, I can do this and do that. No, you can't. Can you beat this? And I pull out my piece of paper. This is how much I pay. Can you beat this to this address or this zone? Yes or no? Well, no, you can't. I said, who made this appointment? Oh, I talked to a guy named Rudy. Oh, you want to piss me off? Make an appointment and waste my time. And look at him. He gets all excited. Why do you get excited, baby? Because you know I'm going to rip him apart.
Great. Great. Entertaining.
Such a waste of my time. But he makes these appointments with people. And then I come in there, I have all my stuff, I'm ready, and I sit down, and I'm like, what are we talking about? Who made this appointment? And Rudy won't even be there. That's how I know. That's how I know he set me up.
I come in at the end to see the aftermath.
Oh, I'm so mad. And I'm like, why do you have people waste my time? And I love it.
It only happens once in a while, though.
Please, baby, you were on a roll there for a little bit. And the thing is most of them are with men. And it's very interesting for me. I have different dynamics when I deal with men. And I tell Rudy all the time, I can definitely tell when people are lying or inflating whatever they want to tell me or sell me or whatever. And if many of you don't know, I played poker. I played professional poker in one of my lifetimes years ago, and I played mostly with men. This was back when I was still married to my first husband. So this was, oh, good Lord, 15 years ago. I actually was in a tournament. I won a tournament. I mean, so I understand the male mind. And when men specifically in business talk to me, number one, I'm a woman. Number two, I'm a Black woman. So it's almost sometimes very condescending. And so Rudy knows that I can flip people really quick because you're underestimating exactly what you're getting. So he likes to watch it because people's face changes when I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. You know what's going to happen? We're going to end this and I'm going to move on and you're not coming back. Don't call me. Don't send me an email for follow-up. And in this phase, look at it, because he grins. So the dynamic with what other people perceive, and then our dynamic, people just, they can't understand it. So it's always interesting. And I've said this on a few of my lives before that, you know, I've had people ask me, Black people and non-Black people have asked me, especially right around the time of George Floyd, we had a lot of racism being very present. And Rudy and I have talked about this on live as well. And I've said that my business has expanded because I added Rudy into the partnership. And so we were afforded way more things than I would have never gotten if I would have kept just me. So Rudy being white and being male allowed us to expand, especially financially, especially with credit, specifically. I was never given this much credit in the business, even though the business, you know, we're over 6 figures, 7-figure business. I still, as a Black woman, still was not able to get credit. When I added Rudy onto the business and he started taking over the finances, credit just flooded in. So it's very interesting. And I tell him, and he knows, that the reason the business has expanded is because of him being white and him being male.
And let's not diminish that you have the time and the freedom to expand our business, to just let
I'm not talking about that, love. I'm talking about the access that we have with you.
Money. Yes.
I never had the amount of access to money until you came along. Even though the numbers were still there. I think that's the part that irritates me the most, is the fact that Rudy brought a whole different dynamic. And it's so telling, especially here in the US. You still can have a great thriving business. You can have profit. But Black and women, we're not afforded the same options. We don't get the same opportunities. And it became very clear to me when Rudy and I got married. And I told him, I said, I want to have you come on to the business, not necessarily as a partner, but I need your credit score and I need your whiteness to get me what I need. And he did. Now, were you surprised? No, I wasn't surprised. Were you surprised?
Not really. I mean, the thing is that once you figure out what the system is,
Right,
you use the system.
right,
And that's what we did.
right,
Nothing nefarious, but you just use
right,
the system. That's
right.
all there is to it.
And I told him, I was very honest. I said, I never have had access to this. I've never had opportunities the way I have them with you. Um, and as hard as I've worked for all of these years, I would never have gotten to this level without you. And a lot of it's because you're white.
That's why I talk to you. You're the boss, I'm the eye candy.
You're the eye candy, baby. Okay. Hmm. But it's true. And I think that's the other dynamic that I didn't really expect as well. I've always had Smooth Skin Supply. Smooth Skin Supply has been my baby outside of Celine. It's been my baby. So I'm thinking I'm going to do the work, blood, sweat, tears, grow it organically, do the things to get what I need. Even in the numbers, it still never gave me what I needed. It was Rudy, literally. And I tell him that. And we talk about it, and it's for me it's sad because there's a lot of great businesses out there that are female ran, that are women of color, that are phenomenal, but they don't have the opportunity that I have because it's a game. It's a game that was already set up for us to fail. It's very deep for me. That's a deep issue for me. But anyway, we're getting off topic. This was supposed to be about Rudy. So yes, if you didn't join us in the beginning, Rudy, I posted when Sean Connery passed away, Rudy was his bodyguard during the filming of The Rock. And so he talked about it in the beginning of this. And Rudy always had a lot of high profile famous people that he worked for. And he's an armed bodyguard. So the difference between armed and unarmed is full weapons, right? Mhm. So Rudy has always been an armed professional executive bodyguard. And so I didn't know the extent of how serious he was until his accident. So I didn't know what he did until we started doing rehab. But when we were dating, he didn't tell me. And I knew he had a job as security, but I didn't know the level. And then when he did tell me, it was because he had like NDAs and had contracts with people that he really wasn't supposed to say what he was doing. And so when he got his accident and they were talking about, we were looking at the plan for rehabbing him, that's when he let it out and just said, this is what I do. Oh, you what? You've been shot at? You've been stabbed? You fight? What? That was eye-opening for me because he's so calm. But then when we started dating, and then, you know, we were put on Facebook, we were in a relationship, and I was connected to him, and I would see his friends. Then those friends that he worked with started chiming in about how they've seen Rudy do this and do that, and you don't never want to do this, and Rudy will do that. And I'm thinking, I've never seen this person. And I told Rudy, this was like a year ago, I said, I don't ever think I'll ever see that side of you, will I? Will I ever see that side? And he's like, look at him. No. Should I be nervous? I never see that side. And he's like, you should be glad you don't see that side. Oh, lovely. Lovely. So anyway, guys, it's been almost an hour. We're going to go ahead and get off of here. We're trying to do, again, more lives of working and being married to your spouse and money, because I think that's the thing that we're going to have to really, at least I want to really focus on tackling money issues. I'm honest. I have money issues. Rudy has money issues, not as bad as my money issues, but my money issues showed up in business. So I'm, you know, thinking of how I want to put together a program for especially people that are in the service industry, especially salon and spa, because we have a lot of money that runs through our hands. And a lot of our money issues show up there because we didn't deal with the money issues in our personal. And I have, in the years that I've dealt with my money issues, and then marrying Rudy and us finding out what those money issues are, have really gotten some really great habits. The last live we did, we talked about we don't have a debit card for our business or our personal. So we don't carry cash. We don't slide a card that has access to our cash. Um, and that's a huge discipline. If we need cash, we actually have to go to the bank to get cash, which is another big disciplined um, money thing. Now, Rudy's okay with it. For me, it took me a little bit to get past that. I have to go to the bank to get cash. We're extremely disciplined with our credit. And for me, right, baby, I could swipe the hell out of a whole bunch. Just but as I've been really looking at what we build, getting a handle on credit and understanding credit and using it the way you should be using it, especially in business, is not taught to us. So the mistakes I made were using my personal credit for business transactions. Taking cash advances off of credit cards, which I've done before, not realizing that you're paying 30-40% in APR. So all of those things are super, super easy. How do we survive day to day without cash? Here's the thing about cash, and Rudy can say his things, but for me, you have to be accountable for your money. And the one thing that cash allows you to do is not be accountable. You can just spend it. So like I said, if I need cash, I will go to the bank to get it, but it goes back to, do you need to spend what you have? So the discipline comes in where if you have cash in your wallet, do you have to spend it? Or are you of the mind, if you see cash, you're going to find something to spend it on? And now that I'm disciplined enough to where I only get cash when I need to use it, and if I don't need to use it, I don't have cash, it's really made me think about how I spend. Again, back to my money relationship. Am I spending because I need it, or am I spending it because I want it? And for Rudy, I think for him, it's just, he always says he's not even used to ever carrying.
No, but I mean, I used to, in a previous life, was a lot of cash transactions and a lot of cash. But you got to be more tactical when it comes
Precise, yes.
precise and tactical with your money. You got to realize that every time you use your credit card, every time you pay your credit card, things happen. It gets recognized. If I have, $50 in my pocket and I spend on it, that's it.
No
I
accountability.
get whatever I get. But if I do it with a credit card, then there's a lingering impression that is made. If I pay that off, that means, oh, he's responsible. So you gotta think again, tactical. You gotta think 3-4 steps ahead, and you gotta break yourself of the cash habit. It is easy to do that here in the United States. If we were in Europe, it'd be a totally different story. Like if we were back in Germany, there's a lot of still everything's going a lot of the cash. But here, you got to remember, you use your credit card, you pay your credit card at the end of the month, you can use your score and you get more. So by paying a credit card, I'm not just buying a service or an item, I am establishing credit and a credit history. So I'm doing two things.
Yeah. And Rudy's extremely disciplined with the credit card. I will say that. I'm learning from him because I was not. No, I would go somewhere and just be.
Yeah. And you see the results. I mean, there are certain things when you pay with cash, like you have somebody that trims your lawn and they want to get paid in cash. But again, for us to get cash for that means you have to go to the bank with a check, give them the check, they give you the cash. So there's a couple steps involved, which makes you think really hard, is this what I want to do?
And it's accountability.
And it's not, so it cuts down on all the impulse buying.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big thing. And you got to remember, if you're in business and then, life hits you like we've all hit right now. And if you're just used to spending and money comes in the left hand and I give it out with the right and impulse and that kind of thing, long term, as a grown up, that's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
Not in business.
Yeah. Did Rudy catch the crackhead. No, he didn't. Crackhead got away.
Crackhead at that point got away, but he wasn't able to do what he wanted to do. So that's
He was trying to steal a car, the Bentley.
they were trying to get into the cars, but you know they got.
But the client that he worked for, every day they put the cars out on the driveway so everyone saw the cars through the gate, right?
Well, no, we had that many cars. There were cars in the garage, but there was more cars than fit into the garage. So they're in
the Bentleys, the Rolls.
It was still a gate, but you know.
But yeah, he didn't get the crackhead.
Yeah.
So
but
no,
he didn't get what he wanted to do. So
no, he didn't steal the car. So Rudy did his job, but it was a life. That was the last time he was at that job. So, but yeah, no, when we talk about money, Rudy, and even when COVID hit, he looked at me, he's like, we're done. I'm taking over everything and this is it. For a while, we have been teetering back and forth. I had been a lot better, but he's like, nope. In order for me to do what I need to do, I need you to just be on board. And I'm like, I'm on board. And there are going to be times when I'm going to want to spend it the way I want, but I'm on board.
But at least then you plan for it. That's
right,
the other thing.
Right. And we do plan for it.
You plan for it. I want to do something. Let's see, can we look? We can plan that in. No problem.
Like for me, for my birthday, he knows I spend on my birthday. And so I tell him I'm getting ready to go to Neiman's and they're waiting for me. And so just to let you know, this is what's going to show up on the credit card. Okay. And then I'll take a picture in Neiman's at the perfume counter with my things.
But again, it's not an impulse buy. It's something that you plan for and you pay for it with a credit card.
And then he goes right in there as soon as the transactions hit and he's on it. And the thing is with me, I don't do that. I'm not that disciplined. I'm learning to be a little bit more disciplined, but Rudy is very specific, and anally so. And I think for me, I need someone that is in that way because I'm not that way. You know, I don't have a problem spending $500 on a perfume. I just don't, especially if it's mine. But I know that perfume is going to last me 2 or 3 years, so it doesn't bother me. Why do you need that? It's mine. Thank you. But I also prepped you because when we were dating for Christmas, I went up and had everything ready and told him, you can just buy my gift. I'll go ahead and put it together, but the gift will be ready at the counter. Here's the card. Go up and show the card to the counter and they'll go get the lady. So I did it, of course. How much did you spend, baby?
Well, I lost most of my hair over it.
And she was excited. He said, she came running out. Oh my goodness, yes, we have everything ready for Stephanie. Anyway, we're running an hour, guys. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks so much for joining us on our live. And hopefully we'll come back with some more stories and talk about our money and, you know, working as a married couple. Yes. All right, guys. Have a great day. Bye.